What's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice show. We have a four-game slate to talk about today. Nolan is joining me today, Monday and Friday, as usual, and he's doing his line change article that's already out on Osmo.com. Nolan, how are you doing today?
It's happening. I'm still sick, but plugging away like a champ.
Yeah, battling it out for us for this four-game slate. So, I don't know, how are the news and notes today? I read it looks like there was a pretty short article today, so not a lot of moving pieces, it seems like.
Yeah, not a lot going on. Jack Eichel back for the Sabers. Hornqvist is obviously out. It's all just kind of stuff that we probably all really know about generally. So, I don't know. Did you notice anything specific? I haven't followed up. Tyler Myers out for the Jets as well, and Mike Green back for the Red Wings.
Yeah. No, I think you got everything in there. I'm just like scrolling through Twitter, and we were talking before about PGA, so we both played PGA. You play a lot. I play, try to get into it. So just Eagles all over the place, it seems like.
Just if he's going to finish like 15th and be the top scorer, it looks like.
Yeah, geez. How many Eagles does he have today, man?
I don't know. Every time I look at it, he's got an Eagle, so...
Yeah,
I'm gonna look up his scorecard right now, just for shits and giggles.
Cooch, yeah, different. The golf Cooch, the other Cooch wasn't great last night, but Tampa Bay power play did get there at the end. So, congrats if you had
Three Eagles.
Three Eagles, man.
That's crazy.
So. I don't know. How did you end up last night? We kind of talked about what happened.
Terribly. I just I was like really torn on LA1, you know, like on the one hand I kind of trust like what sort of like a lot of the sharps are saying, like that's bad chalk, and you were kind of I heard your show, you were kind of like just sort of wanted to get to the weight in the field, and I'm always torn on that because like I agree with the logic behind it, right? Like it's, you know, they're not an explosive offense, probably the worst offense in the league possibly. But the flip side of that is like I generally do trust Vegas, right? Like 3.6 implied total for the Kings last night. If Vegas was bad at that, they'd be losing a lot of money, right? So when you factor in ownership, the fade was probably the right move. I sort of went for a little bit over the field, but what are you going to do? I don't know. It's a one-off, I think. I certainly understand the other side of that as well. What was your take?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like kind of a weird slate overall. It seemed like there wasn't a ton of full lines that went off. Actually, Edmonton I think might have been the highest scoring line, and they actually ended up being pretty chalky.
Yeah.
So,
Minnesota 3? Was that one?
The Koivu line, yeah, they were good. They were for sure good. Yeah. But it wasn't like no one like broke the slate. So like, Columbus 2, Jenner had a couple goals, and that was my best lineup in the $8. Nice. And I wasn't really even on them. They just worked as a filler. So
yeah. It was one of those lines where, like, the guys who got the goals, like, Kucherov had 2, right? Like, it was one of those ones where, like, they're 2 points? There was no, like, correlate. Oh, Point had 2 goals.
I think.
But then, like, the Johnson had nothing, right? And, like, the rest of CBJ, what were they, 2 or 3, they had nothing. And, like, so a lot of these, like, a lot of these lines that just didn't really, like, have, like, great nights as lines. There's, like, you know, 2 players on the line have a good night.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. So usually a lower scoring night when that kind of thing happens, and it definitely was a low scoring night, but Edmonton got there late, very late actually, like 8 seconds left in the game, and then they scored. I can't remember who scored it was a shootout for them. So if you had Talbot too, like I had a couple Talbot teams that were doing nothing, and then all of a sudden full line goal, he gets the win. So everyone was chasing Boston. Who they weren't even owned very highly in the 894. Yeah, so
6 to 10%.
Yeah, me and Corsi and Josh, we were doing handstands, and we saw the ownership early, and they looked like they were on Washington. So we were just tilting our faces off, just talking to each other like, this is not going to happen. They're not going to dud. And they ended up dudding. They had a bunch of chances, but I don't know. Just 2 good teams going at it.
Tons of shots.
Yeah, they had 17 in the first period. We were like, man, they're going to break through. They're going to score 4 times. And Holtby held strong. Got a couple lucky ones there. But, just was not Boston one's night.
It happens. What are you going to do? You just have nights like that, right?
For sure. Yeah, it seemed like a really awesome spot, and maybe it was. I don't regret playing them in my main lineup, but the worst part maybe is that I had Arizona 3, and I spoiled my Nick Cousins game. He scored a goal. Garland also scored a goal. So yeah, I got some pretty good production out of my second line in that, and it
Garland's
just didn't
been
matter.
great.
Yeah,
that's the worst. Is when you like I had Boston one paired with like the Rangers 2 and the Rangers 3, and then like both of those lines scored, and I was like, all right, here we go. Yeah. And then that's the worst when your big line doesn't come through, and you've got that third line pairing.
Yeah. So hopefully, Arizona 3 probably didn't matter for anyone, but hopefully you guys maybe were on them, maybe you had a share of them because
I
don't know. I like them.
Great.
Yeah, Garland had been great. Him and Galchenyuk had been generating quite a bit, and then Cousins is Cousins, but he was 2,800. And so if you just needed a super, super cheap filler stack, that was one that I liked, and that's one that I played actually in the 894. I think I was the only one with them because why would anybody play them? But I needed a couple goals out of Boston one to have a good team. So, but it's all right.
Ballsy. I like that move.
Ended up getting bailed out in the $8, so that's always nice. Felt very lucky to escape with the profit last night.
Nice.
How about tonight? I know you got to get out a little bit early, right?
Yeah, just a little early. Be nice.
We got more than enough time. We'll probably cut this off about 5 or 10 minutes before 5 Eastern. So
sounds good.
It'll be a little bit shorter of a show, and that's perfect because we got a 4-game slate. So let's get into it right now. We've got the Buffalo Sabers and the Carolina Hurricanes, 2.6 implied total for the Sabers, 2.9 implied total for the Hurricanes. Carter Hutton going up against, I'm assuming it's going to be McElhinney. I don't know if you've heard anything just yet, but Mrazek started last night, played pretty well actually against Tampa. In Tampa, Carolina, of course, on the back-to-back. You mentioned Eichel being back. Any other news we're kind of missing here?
Just that with Eichel back, it looks like Sabaka's down on the second line. I kind of don't hate like all these sort of like Buffalo 2, 3, 4 as cheap options tonight. And on the Carolina Hurricanes side, I think they're just rolling with the same lines.
Okay. So you were talking a little bit on Twitter and in chat. This Carolina 1 line, man, and I saw this last night and this morning. I double checked to make sure I wasn't like my eyes weren't deceiving me, but they're not generating any quality chances. Like the shot attempts, I think are decent, but they can't get near the net. And that's kind of Aho and Teravainen's deal. So a little bit concerning. They're obviously very good value if you just take the players as like you look at the matchup against Buffalo. They're at home. Like there's a lot of things to like, but those numbers are really concerning. So what are you doing with Carolina 1 here?
I don't know actually. Yeah, like their high danger chances for with McGinn are 3.4 per 60, which is nuts. So when with Furland it was like 16 or something, and then those two without him are like 11 or 12. So it's very strange. Like I don't know if McGinn's that bad or if that's just an outlier and it's due for some regression. Like he's obviously pretty cheap. I don't like if you're not full stacking, you could just go with those two. They obviously have power play correlation. In these small slates, doing like just 2 players from 3 different lines probably isn't the worst idea. At least you're not going to have like duplication in large GPPs. But I'll have some shares of them, I guess. I don't really have strong stands on any of these Carolina lines.
Sure.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to kind of read chat here. I do like Carolina 1, despite the numbers. I think just Aho and Teravainen are good value. McGinn makes it pretty affordable. Yeah, McGinn, he's not like that terrible. He's not like who am I thinking of? Someone who's just a complete plug. The names are escaping me right now. I was gonna say Hyman, but he's actually not even that terrible. But like he's not one of, what's that?
Just name a Canuck.
Yeah, honestly, he's not Josh Levo. But I was just kind of reading the chat, and Andrew was asking, can someone help me? I'm going for the Iron Man on DK. You're talking about the DK achievements. I don't know if you check on these, Nolan, at all, but for me, I've got 95. Yeah, I think 95 is actually the max, so I think I've played every single day in NHL. You can miss a couple days here and there to get to 175. I think there's probably like 185, 190 slates or 190 days of NHL. Do you know off the top of your head how many days there actually are NHL games this year?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm gonna look it up right now, though. It looks like, oh, I've got some crowns waiting for me. Wow, it's exciting.
Yeah, go claim those crowns, by the way, guys, because otherwise, I don't know. I don't think you get them if you don't claim them.
Yeah.
So it's stupid. They should just go into your account. The
So
crowns payout is stupid. I don't know, but claim your
20
daily rewards, get your crowns, do all that.
27 weeks, and that's if you're
Mhm.
playing every week. That's 5K crowns. That's nothing to sneeze at. And that's playing 175 regular season days. So
Yeah.
what are we at, right? I'm at 77.
Okay, so
No.
I'm at 95. I think
How
I'm at
have
the
I missed
max.
that many days?
I'm at the max.
Oh,
I
you
don't
know
know.
what it was? I was on vacation in Iowa and I couldn't play. That's what it was.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna use up all my missed days. I'll be in Arizona for about a week or so, and I won't be able to play for like 5 or 6 days of that because you can't play in Arizona, I don't think. So
So stupid.
yeah, it'll be a vacation with the family though, so it won't be too bad. I won't be missing DFS too much, but that's not until like late March when the season's kind of winding down, anyways. There's a weekly slate and Ironman, yeah. So, yeah, the Ironman is for those degenerates like me, and I think John said also that he was 95. Yeah, 95 out of 175. Yeah, good stuff
Nice.
there. What about
Yeah.
the Buffalo side here?
Yeah,
Pick a
Buffalo
line.
side. I'm kind of intrigued. Like from an ownership standpoint, I feel like Buffalo 4 actually isn't the worst option for large GPPs. Like Rodriguez, Larson, and Okposo, super cheap. Probably going to get you 12 to 15 minutes a game. They have no Okposo's on the second power play unit, and I guess that's it. But I mean, they're going to be like 0.5% owned.
Yeah,
That feels like a testosterone Calgary 1 or Winnipeg 1 stack right there.
yeah. I think on a 4 game slate, I don't know. I mean, if you're making 150, then then go
one.
for it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably just gonna stick to Eichel here. Like looking at what I've got here in my first few crunches, it's a little bit of Eichel, nothing crazy, and then if the top line's not stacked or it doesn't have Skinner on it, I almost never get to Buffalo. Carolina's a good possession team, even though they can't really score goals all that well. They don't give up a ton of chances at even strength, and they don't really commit a ton of penalties, if I recall. So it's probably just going to be the Eichel line for me, and I'm probably going to end
Low
up right around
ownership.
the field. Yeah, low ownership.
So that's a good thing. And then the other thing I like as well, because I've got a lot of Buffalo 1 as well, is just like pairing them with Hutton because obviously he's going to get peppered with shots. So that's a great correlation play. Hutton's probably, like, people are on to the fact that Carolina shoots a lot, so he probably won't go totally under the radar, but you're going to get him way less than some of the other chalk goalies on the site. So I think if you're doing Buffalo 1, that makes a lot of sense to pair to correlate for sure.
Yeah, DK's reacted pretty quick to Carolina. You know, they shoot a ton. They don't really generate a ton. So Hutton, now that
Speaking
he's
of that, like I've read a lot of like analytics articles like talking about the Hurricanes, or maybe not a lot of them, but just like sort of like dumbfounded about what it is that's bad about them. And then I was like just like looking at defense shot totals yesterday, and they have 4 of the top shooting defensemen in the NHL. Is that like a known thing? Am I just like really slow and out to lunch here, or like because like if your defensemen are shooting a lot, you're obviously not going to be converting on a lot of your chances. You're going to be generating shots and not converting. That's just like defensemen have low shooting percentages. So maybe that's like a huge reason why Carolina looks a lot better on paper than they are on the ice.
Yeah, I mean Corsi, yeah, for sure. Like in just their Corsi numbers, like shot attempts, that's
Top
their
of the
motto,
league
right?
last
Is just
2 years.
you just shoot the puck at the net anytime you can. So I don't know how many scoring chances they've generated, but they always pop for me, and I weigh scoring chances and high danger chances as well. And maybe it's just a price thing, but they should be scoring more. Like this, it was the Williams, Fogle, and Stahl line early in the season. Like they were just generating a ton of scoring chances and just never got there. Like never scored. So it could just be guys that suck at finishing, and you know they're good at getting the puck and retrieval and all this stuff. But if you can't finish, you're just gonna be garbage for DFS and in real life.
Well, Osmo's backing up my Buffalo 4th line claim here. Only 4th line with a B grade tonight. So just saying, it's gonna be me and Osmo.
B points grade or value?
P value.
Okay.
D points grade. What's your take on matching for this game? Do you like any matchups stand out to you?
I think they're probably going to go Walmart Martinook Furland against the Buffalo 1. I think that's what I looked at last night. So that kind of frees things up for Aho, Teravainen, and McGinn. I don't love the matchup for Eichel and Skinner, but I think if Buffalo scores goals here, it's going to be either the power play, and that's Eichel and Skinner. They're the two main parts of that. And Ristolainen, Dahlin, those kind of guys. Or they're not going to really score or generate much at all. So it's mostly Carolina here for me. Top two lines, really like that top line. And kind of going against numbers here for the line in total, hoping they turn it around here.
Also, Lawrence Palut in.
Yeah, 2,800. He's playing a decent amount.
Second in the $4 GPP or whatever the other night.
Really?
All strength of five Palut points.
Yeah, he scored a goal.
Yeah. So I like him a lot. I think at that price, I'm gonna be overweight. I think people are catching on to that, but he's talented. He's on the second power play. He's getting 20 minutes a game with Ristolainen. Like, what more do you want? Like, normally those guys in that price range aren't talented offensive players, and he is, I think. So I like him.
Last game, only played 16 minutes, but he did have 10 penalty minutes.
I was looking at that. I wondered when that time was, but usually I'd expect him to get 20 tonight.
20, yeah, especially paired with Ristolainen. I agree. So yeah, you kind of mentioned Ristolainen, top power play. He's the guy I want to go with. Eichel and Skinner, him or Dahlin, but then Palut is kind of the punt option, and that is kind of it for Buffalo for me. On the Carolina side, it's Falk. I mean, he's 4,600. He's the guy that correlates best to Aho and Teravainen. Plays power play 1. You can play Dougie. I think he's a fine one-off. Does have a little bit of a ceiling now. He's starting to turn it around, but still the minutes really aren't there for him, and that's the only concern. Do you really want to pay that price for him? Is the question?
No, I'm going elsewhere. I mean, like, I think Falk's I've cataloged that he's due for probably some shooting percentage regression. So, but he's still he shoots the puck a lot. I don't think it's a bad play by any stretch of the imagination. But I think Buffalo has pretty decent shot suppression for defensemen. So, I'll probably go elsewhere tonight. I just like a few of the other plays on there. I also noticed last game Carolina was on the road, but their defense, they went with 5-man units, so I don't know how plausible this is at home, but it was Pesce and Slavin with Carolina 1, Falk DeHaan with Carolina 3, and Hamilton and Van Riemsdyk with Carolina 2, generally speaking. So that's just something to consider, but really it kind of offsets with power play combinations anyway, so it probably doesn't even matter.
I do like DeHaan a little bit whenever he's around 3K, just as a floor play. I mean, Palut's probably got the higher ceiling, but I am getting a little bit of DeHaan. I have him graded out as a pretty good value, along with Osmo here. Nice. Goalies, Hutton, or you mentioned Hutton, actually. You like Hutton.
Yeah. I think both are good. I would just correlate with each of these, right?
Yeah.
Are you
7K home favorite if it's McElhinney. He's not the worst play in the world, for sure.
That's solid.
I'm going to have exposure to all these guys. I am almost certain of it. So
agree.
Let's move it on. Detroit and Winnipeg, we've got a 2.8 implied total for the Red Wings, 3.7 for the Jets. Jonathan Bernier and Laurent Brossoit in net here. And Winnipeg is on the back-to-back here. They may have some line shuffling going on, but we should find out before the game. And I guess the question is, Winnipeg won or Calgary won for you tonight?
I mean, what do you think? I feel like both of them are just going to be 25 to 30% owned. Do you think that's...
I think it's going to be close. Right? Yeah, I think it's going to be close at all stakes.
I think I don't know what I was saying. I think if you're just entering one or two teams or you're not a huge NHL player, I would just fade both of them and hope to kind of get some leverage on the field. I like both of them. I think obviously Winnipeg has the better cost savings, so that's they get the better power play matchup. But then Florida's on back-to-back, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, Winnipeg's a better value, I would say. I think that's pretty obvious with just the $2,000 in savings on the price.
Yep. So they're graded out really similar for me, and I actually have Winnipeg 1 projected for more raw points than Calgary, so you take into account price. I think Winnipeg 1 is going to be a little more popular, maybe 5 to 10% depending on which stakes you're playing. But the nice thing about both of those lines is they've got full power play correlation, so people are less likely to leave guys off. I wouldn't leave anyone off of either Calgary 1 or Winnipeg 1 if I could avoid it. I mean, if you want to go Line A instead of Connor or Wheeler, I'd rather not, but some people like to do that. It does work out.
Kachuk instead of Lindholm.
Yep, same thing. So I won't be doing much of that tonight. I'm going to stick to even strength stacking. But yeah, Winnipeg 1's my top stack of the night. It's not going to be a hot take. I expect them to be either the top own line or just behind Calgary 1 here. What do you guys think? Chat, what do you think? Who's going to be the higher owned line tonight? Winnipeg 1 or Calgary 1? What are you guys hearing? And while they're doing that, what else do you like in this game, Nolan?
Winnipeg 3, we've talked about a few times on here. Like, they've got some amazing underlying numbers. They're even better at home as well. Let me just pull it up here. Winnipeg 3, 13.49 high danger chances for at home, 8 against. And then, that's just both home and road. And then at home, 15.21 high danger chances for per 60. That's a pretty great value, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you could do the double stack as well, the like Winnipeg 1, Winnipeg 3 for large GPPs. I don't hate that at all. Detroit 1 Detroit 1 took Bertuzzi off of the top line last game. So if you want a unique stack, I would say maybe put Mantha up there. He had a 15% 5v5 ice time share with them last game. Who knows what Detroit's doing? So you could do that just to try to find something a little bit different. And then, I think as well, like, I'm kind of curious. I think Winnipeg 2, like, Laine has just been terrible lately, and I think he's not shooting the puck as much. So I kind of have trouble recommending him, trouble playing him, but at the same time, like, he's the kind of guy you want to get in on that night when no one's playing him, right? Like, that's going to lower his ownership. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like 10% owned or something tonight. And like, like the guy can score from anywhere. His shot's amazing. He can generate from anywhere. So I don't hate him as a one-off. I don't hate him as part of a Winnipeg power play 1 stack. What do you think about?
No,
about
I think you're right on it. I don't love his line mates here, Little and Roslovic, if they're going to keep that intact. I like the Winnipeg 3 call. The thing with Laine is, I would agree with you. Like, if it was a bigger slate, I'd probably just ignore him, but hard not to like him here, especially Detroit commits a ton of penalties, and they're bad on the kill, and Winnipeg is awesome at home, like by far the best home power play in the NHL. They're at almost like 40% success rate. They just crush at home, and Detroit sucks, as we know, and they're bad at 5-on-4 or 4-on-5 for them. So it seems like just the nut spot for Winnipeg.
Yeah, agree. And like, are you gonna mix in? Like, I'm gonna be trying to do as much. I got pretty high on Trouba and Morrissey tonight. I just feel like they're both underpriced. They both got between 15 and 20 minutes with Winnipeg 1 last game. Both Morrissey's on power play 1. I think, like, to be even a little bit contrarian, you could even just put both of them in a Winnipeg 1 stack.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. If you're differentiating a little bit with the other forwards, by all means, double defenseman stack. They did. I know I was watching the game against Colorado, and Trouba was on the top power play for a couple times. Now, they had a bunch of power plays, so I'm looking it up to see just how much Trouba played with them, because it hasn't been updated on Daily Faceoff, Left Wing Lock either. So I don't know what they did last night. I'm going to try to look at that. Natural stat trick's going pretty slow for me. All right,
Trouba on power play 1.
Was it?
Yeah, I totally missed that.
All right. That is very good. So then
that's huge.
Yeah. So that's an edge right there. You're going to have to change that on Fantasy Cruncher. You could just keep it. You could have both Trouba and Morrissey on power play 1 if you want. If you're running like correlated defensemen with your line stacks. But just be aware of that, because if it's going to be listed like that, everyone's going to play Morrissey, and that's fine. He's more expensive, but Trouba is probably the way better play, and you get a price reduction on him as well. So
yeah, I agree. I'm just going to update that in the article right now, just so everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jets PK1 instead of.
All right. So Trouba is the guy I'm going to have the most exposure to. Stamkos did not get an all-star bid, but Stamkos got an all-star bid, but not point. Yeah, whatever.
Really?
I mean,
That's hilarious.
that's stupid. But
All-stars are stupid anyways,
yeah,
so.
it's a popularity contest. That's fine. But it's for the fans anyways, right? They want to vote for who they want to see, I guess. I do like Detroit 1 quite a bit. I think I'm going to end up over the field on them pretty heavily. And I don't expect them to be all that popular. And I like the Mantha call. If you want to just throw Mantha on in Fantasy Cruncher, throw him on line 1, put Bertuzzi on line 2, you can make that swap. It would be tougher to do that if you are on the second line for Detroit and it comes out that Mantha's skating with them. But just know, like, Bertuzzi's not safe there. And it is Detroit did not play on the back-to-back, correct? Like, they didn't play last night, correct?
Okay. No, they didn't.
Okay,
no.
That's what I thought. So,
yeah.
You just don't know. It's Jeff Blashill, right? So, who knows?
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's not bad. And then, like, I think a lot of people are going to go with the Winnipeg 1 goalie correlation play, right? Like, Brassard's going to be the most owned goalie on the night. I would say, like, probably, 25 to 30%, right?
I would think so. Yeah, he's going to be chalky for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one way to differentiate your Winnipeg 1 lineups is just to not take him. So, while Detroit doesn't shoot a lot, like outside of Detroit 1, so I think they're like bottom 5 in the league in shots forced. So you could see a scenario where he's just not getting the shot volume to be the top scoring goalie on this slate, even though like he's such a great play. He's a safe play anyways.
Yep. Very good win equity, even with Winnipeg being on the back-to-back. They're going back home. This is a game they should just roll. It's one line for Detroit, especially if they put Mantha up there. Then it's really one line you have to worry about. And Winnipeg's got the better depth, too. I like the call on the Winnipeg 3 I mentioned earlier, assuming it's Lowry, Perreault, and Tanev. They've got really good numbers together. And they're probably going to see a lot of time against the Nielsen, Vanek, and whoever's the other winger, whether it's Mantha or Bertuzzi line, or the Glendening line with Athanasiou that's brutal defensively. So
it'll be a Winnipeg 1, Detroit 1 hard match.
I would think that's what they do for the most part. Yeah. They try to take Larkin out of it, but it doesn't. Like, Winnipeg 1 hasn't been all that great defensively. We talked about them yesterday a little bit, and that being a reason why we wanted to target the Koivu line. So, yeah, no issue playing Detroit 1 or Winnipeg 1. I like the Winnipeg 3 call. And then you mentioned Line A as well.
Yeah.
All right. Mike Green returning, 4,700.
Yeah. Sami Niku.
Yep, min salary, Sami Niku.
I don't know who's going to take over that second power play.
It's going to be Morrissey, I would think.
Morrissey on 2. Yeah, but both of them were on there. So it was Myers and... Oh, it's probably like it was Myers and...
Oh, we're showing Niku.
Yeah, so but it could be Niku. They didn't skate this morning though. I don't think because they got in. I think it was an optional skate.
Yeah.
So it's guesswork. I'm guessing, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was him or Kulikov. Like has some offensive equity.
Yep. All right. What else? Anything else in this game we should talk about, or are you ready to move on?
I think we're good.
All right. Cool. No Bernier for me, I should probably mention. Or very, very little Bernier.
Oh, is it Bernier too?
Yeah, it's likely Bernier. So it's going to be a rough one, I think, for Detroit. But we will see. Thought the same thing for Washington last night. But they ended up winning. All right. Panthers and Flames. We've got a 2.7 implied total for the Panthers, 3.8 for the Flames. Roberto Luongo could be in net here going up against David Rittich. Why is Luongo not confirmed? It was Reimer last night, correct?
Yeah.
So
probably just not announced it, I guess. Okay. I don't know. I would be like 99% sure.
Then. Okay.
Unless it's an injury or something. So.
Cool. Yeah. So Calgary 1, super expensive. First or second best stack in the night. Pricing is a little bit of an issue. They're way tougher to fit than Winnipeg 1, being a couple $1,000 more expensive on DK. On FanDuel, I think it's the same type of deal. So nothing bad to say about Calgary 1. They're going to get an awesome matchup. They're going to avoid Barkov. They're going to see the McCann line. They're going to see probably some of the third line, Bjorkstrom, Vetrano, Troy Brouwer. They should roll here as well. They should generate a ton. And full power play correlation, Florida not great on the penalty kill. and they've got Giordano too. So Calgary won. If that's your team, I mean, take a big stance on them. Go overweight. I am reluctantly going to be underweight on them. So R.I.P. me. What about you, Nolan?
Yeah, it's just they're both scary fades, right? It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. The only advantage for Winnipeg is just that price savings.
Yeah.
And the probably better power play. So, I think going underweight is definitely viable tonight. I mean, I guess that extra price point does kind of force you into some unique combinations. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can throw in some third lines with your Calgary one stacks. But I'm gonna have some of them. I just mainly just being like risk averse. I just got to get some Calgary one in there. They've been so good lately.
Winnipeg 3 would be a good match with them.
You
could fit them in Giordano.
That'd be a great one. Yeah, and I think I saw like Calgary 2 had a ton of ice time last time, but I'm guessing that was the Colorado game, so it was probably just because they were hard matching against that McKinnon line. Yep. So I would expect Calgary 1's ice time to go way up because they were only at 14% last game.
Absolutely. Yep, you called it. Barkov. I mean, they play a lot of minutes, but they don't play the Colorado 1 minutes. Those numbers are absurd. They just see so much run. And Florida played last night, so maybe they try to balance it out. I don't know. Man, did Barkov really play 28 minutes last night?
Yeah, 28 minutes is nuts, right?
Okay, so he usually doesn't play. I mean, okay. But he does get like 23, 24. Maybe I was just wrong on that. Maybe he does play near McKinnon minutes. I was not aware that he was getting that much run. But
I don't think he normally does.
I mean, he's got 24, 25 very recently as well, so...
Yeah.
Who knows what they do in a back-to-back. But yeah, the Backlund line should see quite a bit of ice time in the shutdown role once again. Back to their old ways here. Do you know off the top of your head whether Backlund was actually on the power play last game?
I don't off the top of my head. Was he supposed to be
listed there.
No.
But they were talking about doing this like 3 units thing. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we'll find something else. A little nugget.
Those are little tidbits that help you out.
Man. Natural Statrix just crawling right now. Probably because I'm trying to stream, but
nothing. Just Giordano.
Okay.
Or sorry, Giordano.
What about the second? Was he on the second unit?
No.
He was not.
No.
Okay.
Zarnik, Neal, Anderson, Brody, Jankowski.
Wow, that's disappointing. I don't know why he wouldn't be on a power play unit, but whatever. It's Calgary one night. If you're going that way, I will be clutching my pearls, hopefully after all the winnings I have from Winnipeg 1 in the first couple periods. And I'm sure they'll go way down after this game. So I don't know what else to talk about here. Like, are you on any Florida lines?
No. I think though, like as a contrarian GPP play, I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. Like just to take a stand on one of your lineups, like to take Winnipeg and then Florida, or the Calgary and then Detroit, and just sort of hope for some one of those 2 games to go like not how we expect, because I doubt they both will. But that's not a bad way to get some lineup differentiation.
Yeah.
Generally from I don't. I'll generally just be on Calgary here. They've been so good lately, right? It's hard to get off them.
Yeah, I do like Dadonov quite a bit, seeing mostly Monahan, Gaudreau, Lindholm, if he's going to stick on that second line.
Yeah, I'd be more on Florida if they were actually like back together, that Florida 1 line, but I guess it just kind of weakens both of them, so I don't know. I mean, Calgary does give up a fair amount of chances, but I'm just, back-to-backs, hot team. Yeah,
I'm getting very, very little of the Barkov line. I just don't really want to attack Calgary all that much, especially when you've got a really shallow team in the Panthers and then a very good shutdown line on the Flames. I mean, no, they're not afraid to really, really hard match as much as anyone. So, plus you got to deal with Gaudreau, Monahan, and Lindholm, who have been incredible as of late. So, this one's looking like basically all Flames for us here. Maybe some Dadonov for me. Maybe a little bit of the McCann line with Dadonov and Hoffman, but it's not like you're getting quite a big discount or anything on them.
Yeah. Agreed. Little nugget. Last 10 games at home, Carolina giving up the third most high danger chances for, second most against. Fifth most against. So maybe that'll be a little more.
No Stall hurts them for sure.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
He's their shutdown guy.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else here? Giordano, I think arguably the best play on the night.
Yeah, just Giordano. So much Giordano. I'm just bought into your pro Giordano. I don't even think about it. I just put him in.
Just put him in.
Just put him in and don't think about it. I don't really love a lot of the other defensemen on this slate as well. I'm other than aforementioned Trouba Morrissey. So I'll probably have I don't know. What's your percent for Giordano tonight?
Let's see. Last one that I ran that was like a full crunch. Where are we at here? Okay, here we go. I had him at 57%, and that's with 8% Calgary won. So even though I'm not getting the Calgary one, I think Giordano he's kind of a hedge. I mean, you don't want him to go nuts because that means there's a good chance that Calgary one goes nuts. But if he gets a goal and just has another assist or something like that, and Calgary one, they're not scoring 4 goals, you're probably okay. And
exactly,
he's just so much.
And if he does score, then you're basically just taking points away from Calgary in that sense too. So from Calgary one. So
wouldn't say it's like a leverage play, but just a little bit of a hedge there. So I just love Giordano. He's
just ups your floor so much to pay up for these defensemen. So.
Ekblad a little bit for 4,200. That's the only guy.
Goalies here. You going with Riddick?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have like I said, all these guys. I didn't get any Luongo in my last full crunch, so that's pretty telling. I usually get to every single goalie, but not really getting to Luongo.
He's not been great.
No.
Not been great.
And just got a terrible team playing in front of him. So
Shell to Pittsburgh, got yanked in Pittsburgh.
Yep. Bernier
Shell to Buffalo, yanked in Detroit.
Okay, would you go Bernier or
Jesus?
Bernier or Luongo? I didn't get either of them in my last one.
Would I?
Yeah.
Bernier probably, but
I would go Luongo, I think. He's just a better goalie.
His save percentage of the last game, 750, 879, 625, 852.
Yep, that's really bad. I think Bernier is going to get slaughtered too, though. So the answer would be both, or would be none of them for me. But if I had to choose, I think I would go with Luongo and just kind of close my eyes.
He's my man. I love him.
All right. What else? Moving on?
Yeah.
Cool.
I got nothing else.
Cool. Last game of the night, then we'll get you out of here early. All right, we got the Penguins and the Ducks. 3.2 implied total for the Penguins, 2.8 for the Ducks. Matt Murray in net against John Gibson. This is probably the one where I'm making the most stands, I would think. What do we got for news in this one? Anything that jumps off the page to you?
So Anaheim didn't play last night, right? No. So, just Patrick Hornqvist out for the Penguins. Tanner Pearson's up on the second line. Guentzel up to the power play 1. So that's a little bit. You have to upgrade Pittsburgh 1. Not that they need any upgrading with the Brian Rust scoring 5 goals a game for the last month. But and then on the other side, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of fading all these Anaheim defensemen just because I think Fowler's back. Montour and Lindholm have been priced up to the point that they're sort of getting the minutes with Fowler out, and then Fowler hasn't been that impressive. So my strong stand in this game is either going to be to try and get overweight on Pittsburgh 1 and or Gibson as well. Just sort of Anaheim's lost 9 in a row. It's not pretty over there right now, but you never know. I just think Gibson's not going to be owned in GPPs, even though he doesn't really look like a great play. I think he's sort of a good leverage play tonight.
I think Gibson's going to be. He's going to be fairly owned tonight. He's going to be, he's not a home favorite, so he's not going to be who's the other home favorite? McElhinney. So maybe McElhinney gets more exposure, but Gibson is a name, and he's capable of huge performances. And
he's cheap.
Yeah, I kind of really like the Ducks here. I've been a Ducks hater. But
Pittsburgh giving up a lot of chances lately, right? It's basically just Murray standing on his head.
Yeah, Murray's played awesome. So he could continue that for sure.
Anaheim 13.77 high danger chances for together. That's second only to Winnipeg 3 on the slate.
Yeah, so not only that, but you look at
first on the slate.
You look at their even strength matchup, and I kind of highlighted this in the Stacks article that when I started writing it last night was the third line for the Penguins, the Brassard. It was Pearson. Now it's going to be Sheehan, which that's probably even a downgrade defensively. Sheehan's pretty brutal defensively. But Brassard, Kessel, and Sheehan, when it was Pearson, they were allowing 72 shot attempts against per 60, 36 scoring chances, and 12.6 high danger chances against per 60. So just terrible. And, that's with them not facing a lot of very good third lines. This third line for Anaheim can generate quite a bit. So, as you mentioned, so I love Anaheim 3. I love the top line as well. Getzlaf, Raquel, especially Sprong, just super cheap, makes that line really cheap as a trio. And then I think we've kind of got some overpriced Penguins. Kessler line has been much better. We've been saying it for the past couple shows, whether it's been you or Steve or myself alone on here. And then no Hornquist is going to hurt Malkin's line as well. So I like the Getzlaf line in that matchup. Kessler going up against Crosby, maybe they limit them a little bit. The Crosby line is the one that I would want as a full stack the most. But yeah, it's going to be mostly Anaheim 1 and Anaheim 3 here. I hope that's some sort of hot take because I'm taking a pretty big stand on them.
I think they're going to be popular, Anaheim 3. I would say like 10%. What do you think?
They do fit. I mean, they do, so we could just do this quick right now.
They're like... Immediately, they were my favorite option to stack with Winnipeg and Calgary 1.
So they don't fit very nicely with Calgary 1, but they do fit nicely with Winnipeg 1. Like you can get a Trouba or Morrissey in there, whatever you choose. So yeah, I agree. They're not going to be like 1% owned or anything, but I think Richie's going to have very little ownership. So as a full stack, I think you might get them at like 6-7%, which I'm more than okay with. I'm going to be at least double that, maybe a little bit more even, because I want a ton of Winnipeg 1, Anaheim 3 stacks. I want some Winnipeg 1 with Anaheim 1 as well. So, yeah.
You're right. It doesn't fit with Calgary 1
Not very well.
You get 3,400 for your defenseman if you take Gibson. So that's not great. It's not ideal.
Right, exactly. And we talked about Giordano tonight, and I would put like Trouba and Morrissey and couple of these other guys in that category. Letang on the other side as well. So there's quite a bit of defensemen to pay up for tonight. It's not like we're super thin at the top there. All right. What else? Anything on the Pittsburgh side for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote up Malkin in my power plays just because, I always struggle with the power plays a little bit because I generally stack, so it's kind of hard to find, these guys, single players, for cash. But I think Malkin's not a bad option tonight just because he doesn't correlate with his line mates on the power play. His line mates are pretty weak, so he's obviously overpriced, but he's also going to come in under-owned. So I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you, but I probably won't have much of him. But I noticed he was in your write-up for your your cheat sheet.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
I mean, I don't know, maybe, more of a narrative thing, but maybe he takes a little bit more of an offensive-minded approach without Hornquist and or Kessel on his line. Maybe these lines get mixed up. So I think if I'm playing a unique lineup construction, like if I'm going 3-3-2, maybe you go Malkin and Letang. That's a pretty expensive duo, but it would differentiate you quite a bit, I would think.
Yeah, I don't normally like doing that just because Letang sees so much more ice time with the first line than the second, but I think tonight's probably going to be a little bit different as well. Plus, on the road,
Yep, on the road, kind of tougher to match your guys, especially when you've got a team that's hard matching like the Ducks. So I actually think it's a pretty fair assumption that Malkin goes with Letang and Dumoulin quite a bit of even strength as they try to limit the Getzlaf, Raquel, Sprong line, because it's going to be Kessler versus Crosby. It's going to be Getzlaf versus Malkin. So if you're Pittsburgh, wouldn't you want to put your top pair on Getzlaf and Raquel? At least that's what I would do. So could be that.
That's sound logic.
Yeah. I think Pittsburgh 3 is probably going to get some attention just because it's Phil Kessel, and Brassard does get power play time. I think we do have a little bit of a sample on them from last year. So you want to talk about anything else in this game, and then I'll try to look that up quick.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, I just noticed there's a trade today. Jordan Wheel to the Coyotes for Jacob Graves. It's interesting.
I don't even know who Jacob Graves is.
No, he's like a borderline defenseman. I think he's played a little bit for them this year, but yeah, not too exciting. Yeah, so I think like my initial take was that like Pittsburgh 1 just isn't going to be owned tonight. So I kind of like didn't mind taking them as like if you're fading Winnipeg 1 and Calgary 1, but obviously they're in a much worse spot. So my I kind of thought like I was sort of hoping that like a Gibson would go under owned and that you could pair Gibson with Anaheim 1 or Anaheim 3 and just sort of have that be a bit of a contrarian play, but maybe that's not as contrarian as I think it is. So I don't know. I just kind of like, it's maybe just like bias, but I kind of like think Anaheim's got to get up for this game, right? Like they've lost 9 in a row. Pittsburgh's coming to town. They're starting to get healthy again. Pittsburgh's missing Hornfist. Like there's just first trip on a West Coast swing. There's just a lot of narratives in Anaheim's favor tonight. So I'm kind of on them, but maybe that's just my own personal bias.
Yeah, they're underpriced for sure. Anaheim is. So whatever you think of them, they're for sure underpriced. And the Kessler line's going to get some ownership too because they'll fit with Calgary 1 and Winnipeg 1, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to be really heavy on the Ducks. So I'm hoping for this late night hammer. And
we'll duel it out at the top of the $8.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. But yeah.
Did you see the other night, by the way, the guy who won the $8, I forget his Mirage. He's a pretty player. I think he was finished like top last night too.
Yep.
He had Middleton in his lineup and just didn't get him out when Simic came in.
Oh,
and
really?
And that cost him the tournament. Like if he just put in like any other min-price defenseman, cost him like $2,500 or something, $1,500.
Yeah,
brutal beat.
Yeah.
I guess these guys like DFS, if you've got so many lineups, you're playing so many sports, you're probably just not even paying attention to the news.
Right.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah, a lot of these big guys, they'll just completely miss stuff when there's late scratches, 15, 20 minutes before the game starts, because they're playing other sports. They're playing NBA, and that's wild now with late swap being back on DK.
Yeah.
So that's a
much more money, I guess, too.
More volume. So just got to go where the money leads you, I guess. Yeah, it should be a fun slate. I actually should add, I do like Fowler quite a bit. He's the guy I lean to. He played a bunch of minutes.
Brutal, though. Like, he hasn't done anything since he's been back.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's small sample size.
He should. I expect him to start doing things, as they say. But, I don't really have any worries about Fowler. I think he's going to play a ton of minutes here. Power play 1.
Yeah, you're right. 26 minutes last game. No shots on goal since he's been back, though.
I wonder how he's been doing on shot time. So we can look at that after the show, because I want to make sure you're out in time. Thanks for joining, guys. This was a fun show. I always like these shorter slates. We can kind of ramble on about other topics. Give us a like if you do enjoy this. I've been kind of slacking on asking for likes. I don't love doing it, but it does really help us out. So if you do give us likes, it does help us continue to do this for free, which we would prefer. So give us a like, write a comment, do whatever you want. Thanks for joining us. And I think Nolan and I will be back on Monday.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It is.
Good luck, guys.